Hey guys, it's Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, coming to you once again from my home office in Alberta, Canada. I want to extend my just most wellest wishes of health and safety to everyone all throughout the world as we are going through a very challenging time with this coronavirus. And I know I've been so blessed. Last December, I made the decision to actually go out and open my own office and to create a virtual office where there was economic reasons and financial reasons for why I decided to do that. So in December, I launched Holthe Immigration Law as a virtual firm. And I don't really like virtual because it implies somehow that there's not that direct, face-to-face kind of contact. But my firm is completely different. It is 100% collaborative with my clients in a way that I could never do it in person. But with that being said, it was a decision now that I look back on, and I just consider myself so very blessed. And I have a wonderful group of employees that are working with me all safely in our own homes. And we're able to continue seamlessly helping people all over the world with their immigration. And so I just consider myself so blessed. And for all of you out there, through a variety of reasons, are maybe unable to work, your future's uncertain. You just don't know where even the state of your country is in terms of what this virus is going to do. My heartfelt prayers and thoughts go out to you, your families, and everyone out there who is. There's really none of us. I don't think there's any of us that are not being affected in some way by this virus. So my prayers go out to all of you. Today is going to be a special Express Entry Live Q&A because it's not going to be focused on Express Entry. Yes, if you have Express Entry questions, we can totally talk about those, but it's going to be opened up to anyone who has questions. And there were some questions that were sent in via email today, but I'm actually not going to answer those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus more on answering the questions for everybody that is connecting in. So if you have a question about anything related to immigration, we can talk about it. There's a lot of unanswered questions. And yesterday, the immigration department had an emergency conference call with the Canadian Bar Association, and I think all of you know that I'm a table officer on that with the Canadian Bar Association's immigration section, and as well as some other organizations. And we had an opportunity to get a little bit more direction on how they were going to be dealing with things. And so I'll share a little bit about that, at least the latest information that we know. And if you have other friends or other people that are interested in just have questions and they're just not sure, please don't hesitate to share this video with them and invite them to join, because it's not just going to be about Express Entry today. This is actually going to be, and I guess what I could do is I could open this up and say, I'm going to change the title here. I'm going to call it Immigration. There we go. That's better. I'm going to call that Immigration Live Q&A. So so don't hesitate now. Take some time to share, let other people know that this video is happening. And I can see a number of people that are starting to pile in. And so with everybody being at home, everybody wondering what the future is going to hold, lots of people are online. So this is open to anyone to ask any questions about immigration, not just about Express Entry, and I'll try to work through them and answer them all in the post. So going forward, there's still, like I said, a lot that we don't know, but but that's kind of where we're at. So today is dedicated to all of you guys and anyone who has questions, so don't hesitate to share. Now, with all of this being said, I do want you, as always, to let me know where you're tuning in from. So please post in the comment section. We have a massive number of people that are joining live, which normally we don't. So I do want you to post. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I love that. That's one of my favorite parts of what I'm doing, because I feel like I'm actually reaching people and that the messages that I'm sharing and the information I'm giving are worthwhile to people. So please share, and we'll just make this an awesome Q&A. And in all honesty, as I look at my calendar and my schedule here, my awesome colleague Igor is with me, and he's helping me to manage all of this. I have my next appointment looks like my next consult is at 2:30 today. So I'm willing to stay on as long as I need to try to answer questions and let you know what I know. Just basically having been connected in a way that many of you aren't with immigration and with the authorities and what they're doing. So, and a lot of that information also just starts piling through, and I can see lots of questions being posted. So that's great. Those of you who are posting questions, I will try to go back and try to find the ones that are being posted right away. So be patient with me. There's going to be people that are going to get their questions missed and skipped over just because they're just filling up so quickly. But I'll do my very best to try to get through them and to just try to offer whatever help I can. Now, where am I broadcasting from? Yes, it's Lethbridge, but where I would love to be is this wonderful Montenegro. So that's what's in the background. It's Montenegro. You can see. I'm dodging out of the way here. Woo! So if you have a place that you'd like me to broadcast from, heck, if you've got a picture of your house, I'll broadcast from your house. It would be fun. Just send me a high resolution picture. You can send it to Igor. You can send it to info@holthylaw.com, which is the main kind of point of contact. And then from there, we can go forward and I would love to use one of your images. At this stage, we're picking beautiful places to broadcast from. So once again, those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Mark Holthy. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer practicing in the beautiful little city of Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. And I was a former immigration officer and a former high school teacher. And so I've taken all of those things and kind of compressed them and put them all together into, well, just doing this. This is what I love doing, helping, giving free information on immigration. Before I jump in and start identifying where people are listening from, please post where you're listening from in the comments. And today is all dedicated to immigration generally. So it's not focused on express entry. It's answering all of your questions. And we are all together in this. And I think if we all recognize that no matter where we are in the world, we are a small community. It's not nearly as big as we think it is. And so anything we can do to help one another, that's what I love. All right, so let's go through here and just do a quick skim through here and see where we're listening from. We've got a great group of people that are watching. Don't forget to share this with your friends, and I want this to reach as many people as possible. Okay, let's see what we have here. So we've got a bunch of questions. Ralph, good to see you as always, connecting in. Isbat is from Bangladesh. Hi, Isbat. Rajpreet is Canada. Abhishek is in Toronto. Mitzi, oh, Mitzi, it's so good to see you. Another one of my past clients that you had a hard go of it too, didn't you, Mitzi? Mitzi's in Canada, of course. That's wonderful. Let's see. Khalid is in Ottawa. Chichi is in Nigeria. Sanel is in Dubrovnik. Let's see where else we have here. Oh, Mitzi's in Pincher Creek. Of course you are. Ayad, yes. I guess I won't be coming to Egypt after all. Super disappointed about that. But we're hoping maybe in the fall. Udit's in Ottawa. Great, Udit. Great to see you. Emeka is in Nigeria. Amrit Paul is India. Mahanad is Jordan. Yes. And I'm disappointed I'm not able to go to Jordan as well. But for all of that's going on here, I can tell you that, we just have to accept the fact that life is different, at least for the next few months. And as long as we can just all band together and stick together, we're going to make it through here. Himali is India. Ravi's India. Pawan's Nepal. Ravi's Mumbai. Muhammad is Saudi Arabia. Ravi's Mumbai. We've got a great group of people. Ralph, of course, is up in Edmonton, Alberta. Ronell is in Sherwood Park. Kara St. Lucia. Wonderful. Look at all these wonderful people. Jode is from India. Jaspreet's India. We've got Lou is Vancouver. Marine's High Level, Alberta. Welcome, Marine. I love these Albertans that are tuning in. Mark's Croatia. Shanta is Bangladesh. India. Sarab is India. And Janish is India. And Yusufa is the Gambia. So we'll stop there and I'll go back and we'll circle back and start trying to answer some questions. But welcome all of you for being a part of this. And like I said, this is a special Q&A. I'm just adjusting it here. It's not just express entry, but it is actually all about immigration. And I see Sesh is from South Africa, and wow, people are just piling in. It's great to have you all with me. So let's talk about immigration. Let's talk about what's happening. Let's take some time. Harry's in Kelowna, yes. Wow, this is amazing. So many people. Okay, so we'll get through them as we reach the stage. But this is wonderful. All over the world, we can all come together to talk about this. Okay, so the first question that I have is Rajpreet, and this is an important one. He says, "What will happen to the international students who will be here next month for May intake?" And that's a good question. So some of you might know over the weekend, my wife actually had to drive down to Idaho to get my daughter from school because her school has now been canceled, her university, and now they're shifting to online classes. And we're seeing this happen a lot. You know, whether it's educational institutions, whether it's religious groups, we're just counseled, at least in Canada, not to meet together and to just separate so that we can try to curb this virus. It's so easily spread. And I feel for many of you that are in some of the countries hardest hit, and it wouldn't serve a purpose for me to begin trying to actually identify all those countries. We know who they are, and our hearts go out to you. But when it comes to the education programs right now, one thing we do know is that any student who is in Canada right now studying, that is now being required to do it online. Traditionally, study permits don't allow a person to do coursework online. You actually have to be on campus. But immigration has identified the fact that no, accommodations will be made and you're free to continue your studies online. And that's really what's going to happen now. We're going to see a lot of transition. And I know for students who are trapped outside, you'll remember just yesterday, and as we're talking here, the government made some pretty significant announcements about closing the borders to pretty much everyone, all temporary residents, anyone looking to come to Canada that is essentially in on a temporary status. They're all being blocked from coming in. And there's a lot of information that we really don't know. And I'm just going to reach in and I'm going to pull up my latest report here as I'm talking, and I'll keep that kind of on the side so that we can circulate this information and just confirm at least the most latest information that we have. One thing I do want to tell everybody is that there is a lot of misinformation that's being passed over. So you need to make sure that when you're relying upon information or you're looking on the internet to get guidance and direction, the most important thing for you to understand is that you need to look to the official sources of information and not rely on these bogus websites. Make sure that if you are going, and let's just take a look at this, okay? I want to show you guys some of these official resources so that you know that you're looking at the right place. And I'm just going to pull this up here. I'm just going to, let's see 1 second here. Thanks for your patience, guys, as I try to pull up this information. There are very, very specific, so if you look here, I'm going to share my screen with you. So you guys know that this is the site, the Government of Canada site right here is the site where you can get all of the information that you need. Do not trust some other sites. There are also Facebook pages. So if you go to the Canada Immigration and we type on here for Facebook, these are the sites that you're going to trust. And so if you look here, you find the site. Let me just see if we can find the official Canada Immigration right here. And there's so many other ones that are trying to dupe you and trick you. So the Canadian Immigration and Citizenship at CIT Canada, this is the official government site, okay? And so this is where you're going to get information. This is where the latest updates are going to be provided. So really, really watch this site carefully. This is where you can trust the information that's being released. For those of us that are practitioners and that are advising people, this is where the actual program, the PDIs, are being provided and updated constantly on how immigration is dealing with COVID-19. And so you want to go to this site right here. I'm going to put for those that are watching this, I'm going to post this in the comment section so that you guys have these links. And even when it comes to the actual YouTube channel, this is kind of long. You guys can just look that up. Canada, it's Canadian Immigration and Citizenship. I think if I try to post that, it probably won't work very good. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I've got it here. So I'll copy that and I'll paste that for you guys as well. So that's the start, is just knowing that you're going to the right place for information. Now, sometimes the answers aren't here. You can see for temporary residents, when we're talking about how are they treating study permits and things like that, you can see that to a large extent there's a reduced staff component. But even this, you can see, let's look at this. So this was last updated 2 days ago. So this site is going to be updated as times change, but because things are evolving so quickly, it's really hard to know. You just have to, probably the Facebook pages almost more than anything are a place that you're going to go to get that information. Okay, so back to the issue here, a couple little updates, and then I'll get into the live questions as well. So one of the things that we do know, there obviously all of the in-person meetings, all of the in-person landings, and I just got an email just 2 seconds ago from a client who drove up to Calgary here to complete the landing. And let me just pull it up here and see what he says. I feel for him. He just went up to Calgary, but ultimately they hadn't canceled or given any notification as to what was changing. And so, so in the case of this particular client, they drove all the way to Calgary today to find the office closed. And yeah, so we're probably going to receive an email rescheduling the appointment. And that's what the client said. And that's what many of you are going to see now because of the changes that are taking place and because everything is happening so quickly. That is one of the realities, is that the in-person interviews and in-person appointments and visa appointments and things like that, even biometrics, are all going to be rescheduled. So the easiest way for me to respond to a lot of these questions that people are asking, including the very first one about what's going to happen with school, the most important thing to understand is that everything is going to be closed down. Everything's going to be shut down. And Canada will have, just like many countries, right now we have the Canada-US border that is still open, but I could see a time where they even close back and forth travel to only essential personnel. And so anyone that's non-essential is not going to be permitted the ability to travel. The airports, Vancouver and Calgary and Toronto and Montreal, I believe, are the ones that are going to be accepting people coming back to a large extent. Canadian citizens overseas are also going to be, and permanent residents will have the ability to return. But think about it. You have all of these people. You have people that are away on holidays that have their home in Canada. They're foreign workers. There are other people that are students. So a lot of this is still unfolding and we don't know. It's hard for me to believe that there's not going to be exceptions made for people who have their whole life here in Canada, but are just on work permits. And so, but we'll have to see how it plays out. There's lots more questions than there are answers, but we'll do whatever we can, at least I will, to try to provide constant updates to you so that you know what is happening. But the key is to rely on those essential sources where you can trust that I've showed you before. Now I'm just going to pull this up again here. Other information that has been shared that I want to share with you. Let's see here. Just give me 1 second. I'm pulling up my list here of information. Okay, so for the most part, at least as of yesterday, it was business as usual at the centralized network, so the in-Canada processing, but less staff, so everything is going to take a lot slower. So it's going to take more time for them to process in Canada extensions of work permits or visitor status or study permits. Everything is going to take longer because they're reducing the number of people that are in these in Canada processing centers. The online applications that people are submitting overseas through the online process, all of those, of course, are also going to be impacted and are going to be processed a lot slower than they were before. And this is the case for many countries. It may reach the stage where they actually suspend processing depending upon how things evolve. Here in Canada, we've been very, very proactive, doing everything that we can to try to be able to stem this and slow this spread. There's no doubt that the virus is going to spread. We're not going to be able to stop it. China is an example of that. But our goal is to try to slow it so that it's manageable, so that we're not in a situation that has happened with Italy, where they do not have the means to treat everybody in the way that they need to be treated. And I think we've all heard stories and comments about, about at times doctors having to choose between different cases and triaging people in terms of the care that they receive. And so our goal in Canada is to make sure that our health system is in place, it's solid, and it can handle, as people get sick, our ability to treat them, so that there's not more people available than there are respirators for people who are hit the hardest by the virus. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're focusing on right now in Canada. So let me give you some other pieces of information that were released just yesterday to us. So in terms of pre-boarding, travel documents, so replacement permanent resident cards should be accepted. They're not quite sure, like I said, exactly about what they're going to do with work permit holders who are traveling with their families during March break. They're just not sure. So we'll keep that open and we'll see how that plays out. Foreign national spouses of Canadian citizens should be able to get visas to return. So that if you're away with your Canadian citizen spouse and you're a permanent resident, there should be visas that will allow you to return. And people with confirmations of permanent residence will likely be able to fly and land here. At least that's kind of where things are at right now, and that's what we've been told. So if you have your confirmation of permanent residence, obviously we'll have to see how this plays out, because what they told us yesterday could be completely different today. But as it stands, that's kind of where things are at. Those who've been asked to do biometrics right now, if people need medicals or biometrics, they'll be granted a 90-day extension. So that's across the board. So if any of you are not able to meet the deadlines to get your documents, to get your biometrics or your medicals completed because of everything that's happened outside of your control, you can rest assured that they are actually going to be in a position to show mercy. And in this case, I've said repeatedly how much the government has a lack of mercy. Well, they will show mercy and compassion to people who are physically prevented from completing the documents and the things that they've been asked to complete and provide because of everything that's happening. If you're in Canada, obviously flag polling going down to the border is strongly discouraged. At the end of the day, the key for us in Canada is making sure that our food supply is continued. So all of those lines of transport between Canada and the U.S., they're going to really do all they can for trucking to protect those lines. And when it comes to agricultural workers and things like that, they're going to work very hard to make sure that those essential services are maintained. So what does that mean? It means that the screening that they're going to be doing is going to be focused on those people, those travelers coming into Canada. And I know many of you all over the world are experiencing similar things for yourself. Okay, and the reality is it's going to be day to day. So that's kind of what I know at this stage. We know that if you are a temporary resident and you're looking to come back to Canada and you're able to get on a plane and fly, tomorrow at noon, March 18th, is when they're going to end the ability of temporary nationals, temporary resident permit holders, or any study permit, work permit, those kinds of things. Visitor visas, I guess, to some extent, but at noon, we've been told, and they've reported, noon tomorrow, March 18th, is when that is going to be, they're no longer going to allow people to board. All right, so that's kind of an overview. Now let's jump back. Now that we've had a chance to kind of do that, let's jump back and let's answer some more questions here. So thanks for tuning in, all of you that are here, and there's a really good group of people here. The goal today is to try to get to all of your questions as much as I possibly can, so that we can, as opposed to just talking about just Express Entry today, talk about everything related to Canadian immigration. I'm the vice chair of our national section of the Canadian Bar Association, and with serving in that role, it has given me an opportunity to obtain some information that might not be readily available to everyone, although I will give a huge, massive shout out to the federal government and to all of the immigration authorities and everyone who are doing their very best to get the information out there. Now, you guys are going to hear tons of things, and I know there's probably so many comments out there that say, I heard this, I heard this. Well, understand, if your source of hearing this information is not this site or official government websites or Instagram or Twitter feeds or whatever that are from the Canadian Immigration Department, Citizenship and Immigration, do not trust them. And in fact, even what I'm telling you is often a little bit delayed and a little bit behind. And so the most important thing to understand is that these are uncharted waters. And we look at these beautiful waters behind me here. These are stormy seas. And no one knows when the storm is going to let up. We don't know how it's going to impact in the short term, even in the long term. So at this stage, the best thing in the world people can do is to just hunker down. And if you have the ability to remain where you are safely, that is the advice that everybody is giving, no matter what country you're in. We need to stop the spread, and the way we stop that is by cutting down on international travel. But when it comes to temporary residence, all that we know at this stage is that it's that the restrictions are going to be imposed tomorrow at noon, March 18th, where temporary residents are not able to travel. And when it comes to landings and things like that, at this stage, we've indicated there's been some indication that they may still allow those, but we just don't know. So we'll keep you posted. All right. Okay, next. Ronell says, does it affect the immigration processing? Of course, everything's going to be slower. Everything will be affected. Rajpreet says, when will this ban last? Well, we don't know. Nobody knows. Every day it evolves. Every day it changes. And so we just have to maintain a close eye on the government websites and do all that we can to follow official sources of information. Okay, Naga says, can Canadian work permit holders who had traveled only to the US for the last 3 years enter Canada during to this ban? Okay, well, if you are a Canadian work permit holder, you need to get back to Canada ASAP. And like I said, the one question we have, if you're traveling to the US, what is your status in the US, right? And if you're already in Canada, then you're fine. You're in Canada. It's the fear is that the border is closed and you're not able to return. And so that's where, for many people, that's kind of the situation that we're in. And I'll be honest, the Immigration Department, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, in partnership with the government of Canada, are still figuring out a lot of these things. And so, but all we know is noon tomorrow, March 18th, is when they're going to stop boarding individuals who are not Canadian citizens, and they're presumably immediate family members. Okay, Rajpreet says, is this ban related to spouse? Once again, if you're a Canadian citizen, you've got an accompanying spouse, we've been told that that should not be an issue. Okay, and then we've got everybody who's posting. So Amrit Paul says, how's the situation in Canada? Hopefully spread has slowed down. Yeah, and so if we go through this, what I do is I'm going to show you here. I'm going to pull up our site and I'll show you. Every province has their own source, their own official source of information. And this is where the only place that I trust. I don't trust the media outlets. I don't trust any of them. It's always the source. So every province has their own source of information, like this site here. So this is the Government of Canada. So you can see that in Canada, they've implemented school, daycare, post-secondary institution closings to limit the spread of COVID-19. And when we go through here, you can see for Alberta, we have right now 74 cases in Alberta and 342 in Canada. So we have been really actively working to keep those numbers down, which is wonderful. When you think about the spread of many other countries. Now, that was as of yesterday at 4:50 p.m. was the last update. And we have another test here that you can also take, a self-assessment test that the government has provided. And at least in Canada, each province has its own health authority. And so for Alberta Health, this is the website that they've produced. British Columbia has theirs, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all the provinces have their own reports. And so you can see here on March the 16th, the cases have now been identified across the province. So I'm in the South Zone. We don't know exactly where it is, but there's at least one person that is tested positive in the South Zone. And you can see there's 52 cases in Calgary, 18 in Edmonton, and this is broken down across the country, you can see. And you can see here, as far as tests, look at this. Canada has done over 10,000 tests that have come up negative, and only 74 positives, which is quite amazing. It's wonderful. So every province, like I said, they have their own sources of information, but that's just to give you a little bit of an update of how things are happening in Canada, which I'm so proud of our health system. You know, and so often I have discussions with my friends in the US who, you know, would really poo-pooed our health system and, you know, really praised how the US system is so much better and privatization and everything. And there's pros and cons for both. But I'll tell you, at times like these, I am so grateful for our health system. And that is one of the pillars and one of the just the most wonderful parts of being a Canadian citizen or a Canadian permanent resident is that we can trust and rely on our health authorities to do the very best they can to care for every person, no matter how much money they have. Rich, poor, everybody has equal access. All right. Okay, let's jump down here. Okay, Ajayi says, how can I get a job in Canada? I'm a teacher and computer operator. Ajayi, I can tell you, don't worry about that now, my friend. Everything's grinding to a halt. Okay, so we continue through here, all these questions. Okay, so Sesh says, hello, I have one question. Can I raise? Yep, you bet you can, Sesh. Just post it. Ronell says, can I extend my stay as a visitor because it will end at the end of April? I don't feel the travel go back home because of the virus. Thank you. Ronell, absolutely. You can submit your application to extend your visitor stay in Canada through the online portal. Absolutely, you can do that. And in many cases, it's going to be hard to travel anyways. So you definitely want to stay in valid status. And so by submitting your application, even if it takes a long time to process it, I would encourage you to do it right away. And then ultimately you're going to have the ability to stay in Canada longer. Okay, Harry says, greetings, Mr. Holthy. Greetings, Harry Singh. Okay, Sanel says, I was sending a message to your Immigration Institute. All the best wishes to you from Dubrovnik. I will send you a photo of Sarajevo for you. That would be great. I'd love a picture of Sarajevo, Sanel. Thank you. Pawan says, I'll try to move this over where I can see a little bit straighter here. He says, hi, Mark, how are you? I'm doing awesome. Thank you, Pawan. Just seeing everybody participating in this call, everybody caring about one another, that's what's really cool. If you have questions, you can post them in the comments, and I'm trying to work through all of them. I intend to keep this open for a long time to answer as many questions as I can about anything about Canadian immigration. And we can talk about anything that you guys want to talk about. You can always share this with people you think might also want to tune in and watch. So don't hesitate to share this live video with them. All right, let's see. We've got a whole bunch of people. Darko says, will the express entry draws be continuing during this month and the next month? Darko, we have no reason to believe that they're not. But at the same time, we are in uncharted waters. And what I mean by that is no one really knows what they're going to do. You know, the government may very well decide to suspend the draws, but we don't know. They haven't announced anything. So don't trust anything that people are spreading all over the internet because it's just information we don't know. Those of you, I would not hesitate to anticipate and hope that a draw will come out tomorrow. For my clients, we've been submitting the profiles business as usual. And once again, I'm so very, very grateful. I'll share this with you guys. I think many of you know by now that I've launched my own firm. I was with another firm for a number of years. And just recently, I launched my own law firm. And the thing that I love most about this is that this law firm is virtual. So my staff all work out of their homes already. And so unlike many representatives, many other organizations where they have offices, they're afraid to travel. We have this wonderful blessing of being able to have already set up our whole systems and processes so that we operate all virtual. So I've done a number of consults this morning. I have some more consults this afternoon, and it's business as usual. So we're able to continue helping our clients. And I'm just so very, very grateful that I made that decision to do this. Okay, We'll continue forward here. Asan says, experience before master's degree. Is this counted for express entry? I also have 2 years bachelor's degree and only West bachelor's degree. My master's degree experience is between my bachelor's and master's degree. Is this fine? Okay, I'm not quite sure, Asan, your comment here, what it means. You said you have a 2 years bachelor's degree. Only West, my master's degree, my experience is between my bachelor's and master's. Okay, so I think your question is, can you count work experience that might, relate to your master's degree that occurred before you completed it? The answer is yes. When it comes to work experience, the only things that are important, and I'm going to shift over here and I'm going to share this with all of you, and I think many of you already know. Once again, what source do I trust? I trust the government website. And so you'll see here the federal eligibility to apply as a federal skilled worker. When it comes to work experience, right here, skilled work experience, you can see that what they look at is that you must show that while working in your primary occupation, you performed the duties set out in the lead statement and includes all the essential duties and most of the main duties listed. So what does that mean? Well, let's just go here quickly to NOC 2016, which is the government source for information. And Asana doesn't say what your experience is. So let's take, how about we take a software engineer? Okay, we'll say software engineer. So we'll take that and then we'll search that up. We'll pull up software engineers 2173. We'll use this as an example. So the government says the lead statement is this part here. So you must, if we flip back here to eligibility, you must have performed the duty set out in the lead statement. That is this part right here. Okay, so software engineers and designers research, design, evaluate, integrate, maintain, blah, 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 all this stuff here. Okay, and then all of the essential duties and most of the main duties. Well, the actual law says substantially the same. Well, what does substantial mean? Well, probably a rule of thumb is about 75%. So if we look here, these are the main duties. What are essential duties? Essential duties are anything that doesn't have a may in front of it. So these are the essential duties. So you have to have performed most of these duties. You can see here at the end, this is discretionary. You may or may not lead and coordinate teams. It's not an essential part. So that fills into most of the main duties. That other one, the essential duties right here are these ones that do not have, like I said, this may, which means it's optional. But the question I think that Darko is, Asan is asking here is about these. So you can see in order to work in this occupation, it says that a bachelor's degree, usually in computer science, is usually required. A master's or doctoral in a related discipline may be required. Licensing, you can see here, is required to approve engineering drawings. And you're eligible for registration, and experience as a computer programmer is usually required. So what does this mean? Well, what it means for this occupation is that there are no essential mandatory employment requirements. But in the context of express entry, none of this even applies. So whether or not you've completed your master's degree or not doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is that you have performed the activities in the lead statement and a substantial number of these duties. Okay? Great question, Assam. Okay, we'll zip through here. Mohammed says, I have a confirmation of permanent residence, expiry June 2020, and he says, and Joy able to fly, what should I do? Okay, so Mohammed, the reality is, like we've said, as we've monitored this, we're still waiting to see what is going to transpire. So you can see as of the last data that we have for COVID, at least when it comes to the operational instructions and guidelines, these are constantly being updated all the time. And so the instructions from the program delivery instructions, if we look here and we pull up permanent residence here, this was updated. The last time it was updated was 2 days ago. So even in that period of time when all of this information was included here, you'll see that these instructions here apply to applicants residing in China only. Well, now all of this has changed, but you're going to want to continue to watch this. If we go to the government's website here and we scroll down here, you'll see that the last post, March 15th, right here, provides on the Facebook page, provides an update as to the cancellation of in-person appointments. Okay. And you can see here as you follow through, they're canceling all refugee claimant appointments until April the 13th. So they're delaying a lot of these things. Okay. And as you go through and you click on the measures, you can see this was last updated March the 15th. And if you scroll down, there hasn't been any recent information that's been posted. But those of you who have been watching the news know that the borders have been closed. And so the decision to close borders, or that will be closing at noon tomorrow, March 18th, to temporary residents, we're still waiting to see how this is going to play out with permanent residents. We just don't know at this stage. And here I've been talking and showing you stuff, and I haven't even been sharing my screen. My apologies. This is the Government of Canada's Facebook page right here. This is where up-to-date information is being posted. The last post was March the 15th. You can see if you scroll down here, there's also posts about some of the precautionary measures that are being taken. And there's also international students here. This is where they confirm that that it's not going to affect anything that's being delivered. The method of instruction, if you have to go online, all of this has been posted here. But this is a trusted source. Okay. All right. So we go forward here. Abhishek says, I had an EE profile and had received an ITA, but I declined the invitation when I realized there were a few mistakes. Now I want to create another profile as I'm eligible for CEC. Would the previous profile affect me in any way? No. If you made mistakes, often what I do, you're going to keep that same profile. You're not going to create a new one. Well, what I mean is your MyCIC account. You're not going to create a new MyCIC account. You're going to go right off of the same account that you created your first profile in. Then when you submit your new profile and you get that ITA, in many cases, because I deal in possibilities, not probabilities, I will often have my clients explain if they had to make changes in the previous profile. Because remember, if you had a profile and you've submitted it, it becomes a part of your immigration record. It doesn't get deleted. It doesn't just disappear. It's there. So if you make changes and then you save those changes, that will show up. If you decline an invitation to apply and then it goes back to the original profile, then you can go in, you can update anything in there. So that's what I recommend that you do, Abhishek. And one of the things that I offer to all of my clients is the ability to review, and not just review. The whole plan, the whole part of what I offer to clients is a collaborative process where I work directly with you in building out your own application in your own MyCIC portal. We go through all of the questions, and I can't tell you how many situations I've represented people in your exact situation, Abhishek, where they realized that there was a mistake. And so basically, and that reminds me, one of the clients is actually waiting for me to send him instructions to set up the review for him. So I apologize. I was going to do that at noon before I jumped on here. So Jude, my apologies, my friend. I will reach out to you and I will get that to you ASAP. So Abhishek, yeah, in your situation, we go through and then I help to draft the letter of explanation. We make the changes, we make sure the corrections are made properly, and then we get it resubmitted. But we'll see. We're not sure if that draw is going to come tomorrow. Okay, Sesh says, sending my passport and waiting for COPR. What is the impact on my landing? Delayed. Almost positively, it's going to be delayed. So all of this, at least over this next little while Canada is taking drastic measures to reduce the number of travelers coming into Canada, and airlines are going to be difficult to book, all of these things are going to cause delays in the whole process. So expect that. It will happen. Sanel says, yes, that world is so short and we are yearly. Yes. Maureen says, okay, high level. I'm just going through all the people who are posting where they were from. Janish says, does back office of immigration is open or closed due to coronavirus? It's still operating. There's fewer employees that are there, but immigration is still processing applications just a lot slower. Okay, Shanta says, great heartless speech. I am from Bangladesh. Welcome for joining us, Shanta, I should say. Okay, scrolling down till I get to some more questions. All these amazing people, South Africa, the Philippines, India, wonderful. Okay, Nicole says, can you please confirm what time the border is closing? I am getting conflicting information on the issue. I am scheduled to land as a new permanent resident tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. from the Caribbean. When you understand that it is boarding the plane that is the issue. So they're going to close and stop boarding it at 12. So let me just see if I can actually find the link. So one of the things, let me see if I can find the link. Let's see if I can find the actual link. Okay. Let's see if I can find the actual Government of Canada site here that announces it. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to find the actual source so that you guys can know. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just trying to find see if I can find the actual update. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you guys so that you can see as well. This is the Government of Canada website. I'm going to go back to home. All you have to do is type in canada.ca. Okay, and when you type that in, then you choose your language, English here. Then you can see you got coronavirus right here, and then within here you've got Canada's response. Okay, so how is Canada responding? So this is one of the things. So let's see, this was last updated, and trying to find the most recent. Okay, so this is actually a little bit older. So it's not easy finding the most official kind of announcements. Just give me a second. Let me see if I can find the news. I know the immigration. Let's see here if there's anything. All right. You know what? This is a perfect example of how misinformation is transmitted all over. If we go immigration and citizenship here, and let's just go to the main site here, and I'm going to see if we have here. There should be, boy, we've got lots of stuff. How do we get out of it? Home, and there should also be. And I apologize, you guys. I wish I had more up to date. So we can see it has an update as to the cases. So Alberta, you can see, is sitting at 74. COVID symptoms, travel advice, applying to travel, I'm returning. All of this is old. So let me just see here. One other thing I'm going to do here. I'm going to stop sharing. And bear with me as I search through this, because trying to find reliable information that's actually up to date is really difficult. So then the best thing that we can do is to actually go to the most reputable sources of news. And I know that there's a better place that we can go than the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, but it's a reality. So this is the actual statement. You can watch this. I'm going to post this here. This is the most recent report. I posted it in the comment section from our Prime Minister. And this was actually 2 hours ago. So he basically says he doesn't know how long measures to stop the spread of COVID will be in place. So I encourage you to go through here, review it. You'll be able to see he's talking about weeks or months. We just don't know. We've got also our minister, the health minister, Patty Hajdu. Yeah, so this is one of the where you can actually go and you can watch. Okay. So, but as it stands right now, the expectation is noon. So when you're traveling, Nicole, to make a long story short, the reality is when you're traveling, it's boarding. So at noon is when we've been instructed. At 12:30 is when, noon is when we've been instructed. And that's a good question too, as far as the time zones, probably Eastern time. It's when you board the plane, and you'll find out pretty quick if they let you on. All right, which is not very comforting, I know. But the best advice that I can give you is to continue to monitor the situation. Obviously, when you're planning on flying, if you've got your ticket and you are, talking with the airline, they're the ones that are going to they're the ones that are going to make the final determination whether or not you can board or not. And I wish I could give you more information, Nicole, but it does kick in tomorrow. Right around noon Eastern time, and you can read the reports, follow these, and watch them for yourself. Okay. We'll go through here. Sunel says, awesome. All world is in chat. That is true. And thanks for your patience, guys. I'm going to really try to get to everybody's questions so that we're addressing everybody as much as possible. Okay, Lou says, hi, Mark. I'm actually scheduled to arrive March 18th, 4:50 p.m. at Vancouver. I'd like to know if PR landing procedures are suspended amid early announcements of border restrictions in favor of citizens and PRs. And you're right, Lou. So once again, it's when you board. So if you're in the air, they're not going to turn you back, right? And part of the reason that they're shifting to different locations is and pushing people to land at certain international airports is so that they can make sure that there is enough individuals there to actually screen and test people properly. That's why they're reducing the number of flights. But when you have a flight that's scheduled and you're flying in, maybe Lou, you're flying into Vancouver, like you've indicated here. The reality is it's more on the boarding side than the arrival side. That's what we do know. And there's Billy says, good job, Mark. Thanks, Billy. Billy is an exceptional immigration consultant, and she has continued to work at Stringham, the firm I left, and she is awesome. Okay, Ravi is asking scope for project management. Ravi, can't answer that question. Ultimately, I don't know what direction you're talking about. I suspect is there opportunities for project management jobs in Canada? And I always want to answer everybody's question. One of the best places, if you're wondering what the job outlook is for you in Canada, I'll shift gears and I'll show you. So the source is really the job bank. So if you are searching, and I'm going to try to pull this up, so jobbank.gc.ca, and this is the main site right here. I'm going to copy this for you, Ravi, and I'm going to post it in the comments section. Okay, and this is where you can go. And one of the things, there's trend and analysis right here. So you can look up Outlook, and then you can try to find the position. Now, project management, that covers a whole ton of different occupations. So there's construction, interior design, scientific affairs. You can see accounting management. There's all kinds of different information systems consultants. Let's take Infosys consultants. I think I need to get a drink of water. Let's take 2171. When you go to the trends and analysis and you choose this Outlook, you can then see all across the country what the outlook is for that occupation. So it's based on province, so Newfoundland, Labrador. Then it also is broken down by region. These ones right here. Try not to make it too right through there. Okay, anyways, you guys get it. So Prince Edward Island, it's fair. Nova Scotia, it's good. Fair means that there are probably an equal number of jobs as there are people to fill them. Nova Scotia, there's a shortage. New Brunswick, there's a shortage. Quebec shortage. Ontario a shortage. Manitoba shortage. Saskatchewan shortage. Alberta, of course, is fair. So Alberta, the market in Alberta, just not too hot. And BC is good. So Yukon is undetermined. All the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. So for you, project management, I don't know what it is, Ravi, but this is where I recommend that you go. And you can get basic data on what the provinces and what the outlooks look like. Now, there are specific, more drilled down surveys that exist. And I'll do another video on some of the provinces that extend notification of interest, like Alberta, through the express entry process. I will do another video here. Hey, I've got a lot more time on my hands now. I will do another video that targets kind of how that process works and gives a little bit more information on how you can get a general idea of how or whether or not your job might be in demand in a particular province. So it's all, open source data that you can go into to get the reports, and then that kind of gives you an idea. Now, there's no guarantees that just because that province says that your occupation is in demand, that it's going to be on the list when a notification of interest is sent out by, say, the province of Alberta, the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, but it's a decent place to kind of look for a general idea. Okay, Jody says, I have submitted my SIMP, my Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program, in the first week of December, but since then, status is application received. It's already been 3 months have gone by. As per the maximum time limit is 25 weeks only. Please let me know what I can do to check the status. Well, the only way that you can is to inquire directly with the Provincial Nominee Program. But you know as well as I do that when it comes to inquiring, they definitely don't like to field inquiries from you when it's in the regular processing time. So if it says here, as per the maximum time limit is 25 weeks only, well, do the division, right? 25 divided by 4, that shows you still have a lot more time to process. So at this stage, I wouldn't be inquiring, Jode, until you have until you're actually exceeding the regular processing times. And I can tell you that everybody should be patient and expect delays with everything. All right, Callum says, I haven't seen any information from IRCC about COVID-19 delaying applications at all. Callum, that is because they have not yet updated everything. I was in my the meetings that we had with the government yesterday. We appointed one of our table officers, well, our chair and one of the other table officers, to actually sit in on those meetings, and they are rolling things out immediately. But you have to understand that, of course, there is going to be an impact. And so we, as immigration lawyers, had lots of questions for them in terms of how long, what the impact would be on processing. And they have confirmed that there is going to be delays. There may not be an official report issued as of yet, just because of how fast everything is changing. But there is no way that it cannot impact what's happening here. What we don't know, Callum, right now is whether or not individuals who, after this deadline of when the borders are going to be closing, if people with confirmations of permanent residence are actually going to be able to travel. It is looking like even those individuals may be delayed. So we'll have to see what happens, but they're taking drastic measures. And I appreciate you pointing out that we haven't seen any information from IRCC, and you are 100% right, as you've now seen me scrambling around to look to see if there's actually official reports. But there, at this stage, we're just waiting for those to be released, which I understand creates significant concern. But I can tell you, in the meetings that we had and the information that we were allowed to share, there are definitely going to be a slowdown, and it's going to impact processing. And we're still up in the air about a lot of different people who are looking to come back to Canada in light of our government of Canada making decisions to close the border. It's not immigration. It's the actual Prime Minister and the Minister of Health and all those affected that are trying to control COVID-19. Okay. Banky says, thank you so much, sir. You are very welcome. All right. And Callum says, or draws not taking place anymore. Yeah, no, we are speculating, Callum. We are speculating. We don't know what will happen, but there are specific realities that we're facing right now. So we'll see tomorrow about those draws. Okay. So let's see. If you have a specific question that you're asking as I scroll through these, that is really, how do I qualify, and specific questions that are only really related to you, I'm going to skip through those, because those you would need to actually book a consultation. So if you're asking, how do I qualify, or things that are specific for you, the questions that I'm going to field today are really focused on information that would be of general importance and that would be helpful to people that are just tuning in, and that would be beneficial for everyone that is watching this live video that I'm doing. So if you do have something that's specific and you want direction and guidance, all you have to go is to our website and click on Start Here. And to make it easier for you, I'm just going to copy the link now, and I'm going to put that in the comment section so you can look below. I'll post that in there. And this is where you can go and just follow the prompts. It asks you, if it's individual immigration, you want to immigrate permanently to Canada, you live outside and you want to go through express entry, then this helps you to make sure that the question you're asking is getting exactly where it needs to go. And this is the section that you follow in order to book a paid consult. Okay, Aditya says, will there be a delay in processing of new PR applications beyond the 68 months? Our expected AOR is next week. Aditya, depending on where they're at, I'm assuming if yours is pretty close, that you will probably see that your application is going to be processed pretty close to that time. But understand, for everyone, this is uncharted waters, and we can only expect that the processing is going to be delayed. And I know I'm going to go back to the comments from Callum, because he's pointing out realities. Mark, you don't know specifically anything what you're talking about. They haven't released any specific information. Well, like I said, we attended a call yesterday with our national executive, the table officers of the Canadian Bar Association with immigration, where they were releasing information to us as to what their intentions were in terms of how they were going to be processing things. And I can confirm once again that there will inevitably be a delay and a slowdown in the processing of all applications. That's just, it goes without saying. Individuals that are ill or otherwise have to self-isolate. Like even myself and my family here in Alberta, my wife had to go down to get my daughter Jessica down in Idaho for school. And when she came back up, our government has told us to self-isolate. So my wife, technically, I didn't leave the country, but because my wife and my went down to the US, they left the country and came back in, even though the risk of them having the coronavirus is really low, it doesn't matter. So when they come to my house and I'm here, therefore, I treat that as applying to me. So I intend to self-isolate and not, if there's some remote chance that I could maybe get it from my spouse, I don't want to take a chance. Am I worried about my own health and my own getting ill? No, I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty active. My family's young. I'm not concerned about the coronavirus, affecting us to the point where it could kill us. But I have an elderly mother. I have other elderly people in our church that I minister to and that I'm always helping and working with them. In fact, I just had a call this morning with a couple just down my street. Normally I'd go walk to their house, but we talked over the phone to establish what their needs were and what we could do to help them, because I don't want to take the chance of me being a carrier and taking the virus to someone else that isn't as susceptible, like that is more susceptible to it. So that is some of the precautions that we're taking. Okay, moving down here. Okay, Manmeet says, what about family sponsorship cases amid Corona? Visa delays expected? Question mark. Yes, absolutely visa delays. In my case, biometric update, medical done, but not updated. Manmeet, BC, Canada. So Manmeet, yes, we have to assume that they're not going to be able to process applications at the rate they are. Think about it for a minute. Yes, they have the ability to access virtually, but generally speaking, the people work in big centers, and the government has told people not to congregate in large groups. And so people are going to have to work virtually that are able to. Others, I'm sure they're just telling just to stay home. But practically speaking, it just goes without saying that applications are going to be delayed. They've told us this. They haven't reported it officially, processing delays, and usually they don't. But we will get more information as we go forward. But I encourage you guys to watch those videos with the Prime Minister and what is happening, and that are posted on CBC that were released just today while we were doing this podcast, this live Q&A. Okay. All right. Okay. Abhishek said, okay, I've already answered Abhishek's. Sonu says, my question is, I have confirmation of PR and my wife is a Canadian citizen. Can I land in Canada on the day after tomorrow? Well, Sonu, this is something that we're not sure. We don't know. We're waiting to see. Generally speaking, when you are looking to be reunited with a family member, you would think that there would be an exception or something, made to allow that to happen. But we don't have specific information. All right, that's something that we just don't know. If just continue to watch the government website, continue to follow the social media channels, and at the end of the day, the biggest thing is, Sonu, you have to get on a plane. You have to be able to fly. And if the airport is saying, no, we can't admit you, there's your answer. All right. Okay. Okay, so we'll go through here. Jodet says, could you please advise if it's easier to go as an artist immigrant, or if I have a friend in some province so they can probably help me to move? I'm sorry I asked a similar question before, but I'm kind of confused. Jodet, when it comes to applying to immigrate to Canada, obviously, if you're looking to go through a province, you have to meet the requirements of that province. And if your human capital isn't high enough, or you don't meet, if there's an occupation that they're looking for and you don't have work experience in that occupation, or you take even the Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program, which in a way, it's almost like a mini express entry, because now the requirements to meet that, that qualification level are just about as high as express entry itself. And so if you're going through that process and you can just see that you're not ranking high enough, then obviously if you're an artist, you need to be fairly well renowned, and Canada has permanent resident programs for them. So I'm going to share my screen again with you. Let's go back to the Canada site. We'll go back to, let's go here, IRCC, and we'll call it's self-employed is the program. So let me just pull it up here, IRCC self-employed. And many people get confused and think that this works for anyone who is self-employed, but that is not the case. In order to apply, you actually have to have experience. You can see here in cultural activities or athletics at a world-class level, or being a self-employed person in cultural activities or athletics. So if you're an artist, that would fit under cultural activities, but you're going to need to understand that when it comes to qualifying, you have to show that you truly are living, making a living as an artist, and there's a bunch of things that you have to establish and that you have to prove. Okay, but this is the program for self-employed persons. So I'm going to go to about the process, and then I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to paste this for you, Jawdat. Okay, so if you don't have a pathway through one of the provinces, your friend alone isn't going to be enough to get you through. You're going to have to show that you meet a whole bunch of other requirements, and every province is different. But that's the difference between the provinces and when it comes to self-employed. Okay, Syed says, "Dear sir, I have a 5-year ban. How to remove it?" You can't, my friend. The only time to challenge a 5-year ban is when it's issued. And if you've had a ban for misrepresentation, which it is, then those are the consequences. And if you could easily remove them, then no one would be afraid to misrepresent. And misrepresentation within immigration is a huge problem. And because of that, many people that try to do it right, their applications suffer. But those people who have misrepresented on their application are now in a position where they just have to face the consequences. And when immigration catches you, you're barred 5 years. If you feel it was wrong, the time to challenge it with a judicial review in federal court is at the time in which it was issued. Okay. Jewel says, any chance for score to reduce? Highly unlikely. Although we are kind of seeing a little bit of a leveling, right? Right around 470 through 475 seems to be kind of the range where it's leveled a little bit right now. And maybe that's where it's going to kind of sit, but we just don't know at this stage. Okay. Okay, Jode says, after getting nomination from the SIMP, can I apply for a work permit in the SIMP? Well, it depends on the program. Simple as that. Some allow for individuals to apply for work permits. Others do not. It depends upon what that province does and how the programs are structured. Okay, Darko says, will the express entry draws be continuing this month and the next month? We don't know. We don't. We have no reason to believe that they won't. We'll watch tomorrow and see if it happens tomorrow. Maybe it will be delayed. Maybe it will be next week. But when I advise my clients, we continue to assume that things are going to proceed forward. We continue to submit our profiles. We continue to hope with faith that the invitations to apply are going to continue coming through. Okay, Saba asks a question which many have asked already. Can a confirmation of permanent resident holder land as well? I've heard that COPR does not mean PR. It is activated when you land. That is correct. So a confirmation of permanent residence, right now, there's a lot of indication that maybe that will not be enough to let you land, and that it's only current permanent residence. So understand that it is entirely possible, Saba, that that may be it. And I know that there's lots of reports out there, and like you said, we've looked. I've searched through the government websites to see if there's been any updates, and we just don't know. Let me see if there's. I'm getting emails from my fellow table officers. So let's see. Let me just see here. Yeah, a lot of my colleagues are reaching out to immigration for specific information, and at this stage we just don't have it yet. So there's a lot of uncertainty. I understand that. Okay, Mashi. Hi, Mashi. Good to see you. He is one of my individuals that have purchased a subscription to my Express Entry do-it-yourself course that I have offered for a number of years now. And Mashi, if you go to the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel, and I'll just show you guys because this is quite fun. I love this. If you go to the YouTube channel, and I'll just pull this up here. Looks like I'm logged in with something different here. The joys of multiple Gmail accounts. And I'm just going to find this here. Let's see there and here. See if we can open it up. And then I'm going to show you for those of you who are tuning in as well, I have a ton of other resources, and everything that I have posted on all these videos, including this one, will get reposted on the YouTube channel. So those who are watching it, this is where you will go. But on this site, you can see I have done, if you go to the videos, there are a ton of videos that I've done. And if you scroll down, you'll hit the range where I have posted feedback from my, right here. And so here, let's see if I can find, there he is right here. So this one, let's see if I can open this up. This is the testimonial that Mashi shared for me. So I'm going to share this one. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to post it in the comment section for you guys. You have to check it out. Okay, so after all of that, I'm going to shift back here, shift back. Let's see. So Mecca says, Mashi says, hi, Mark, I am supposed to land on Thursday. My friend, you are so close. March 19th, would I be allowed in as a COPR holder? If not, any idea when the border will be open to us? Mashi, I will let you know immediately the moment I hear anything. And right now, the reports are that it's pretty uncertain. We're just not sure. But wow, I think you're the last one, Machi. I think you were the last one of that first group that used the guide and gave me all those videos. Everybody else is a permanent resident, and understand you will be. You will have your opportunity. It may be that you might be delayed a little bit, but understand that you're going to have that opportunity, my friend. Congratulations. That's so exciting. Okay. Abhishek says the previous profile is ineligible now as my IELTS expired. Okay, if your previous profile, your IELTS expires, sometimes it will then kick your profile out. So then you have to recreate a new one. But do it, Abhishek, within your MyCIC, the same account, just create a new profile and resubmit it. Okay? Nipa says, September session for study. I've applied for this. Will I face any problem to get student visa? Nipa, it's entirely possible that everything will be delayed. It's entirely possible that the processing of study permits are going to be delayed. And even we don't know what's going to happen. You know, right now we're in uncharted waters because, and I say that repeatedly with this beautiful, you know, over here, I guess, this beautiful waters over here. There we go. The reality is we just don't know how things are going to play out. But, you know, when schools are closing right now, when students are instructed to take their courses online, which is what's happening now, we have to expect that there's going to be more longer term implications. But for processing of applications, yes, there will be delays. Good luck, Nipa. All right, Karen says, sir, I've submitted my file of work permit 1 year ago. What will be accepted? We will be very big thankful. Karen, if you've submitted your work permit 1 year ago, it seems to me like there's huge issues there because there's no way a work permit application should be taking you a year. If you are stuck or you're uncertain, I recommend once again that you book a consult. The easiest way to do that is to follow the link like I've shared repeatedly. I'll just show you here. If I pull it up, I'll share my screen. Just go to my firm website right here, which is holthleylaw.com, or you can go straight here. If I click on the Start Here button, I'll just pull up as well here the link, and I'll just paste that for you again, and that's where you can book a consult and we can sort that out, because there's no reason, there's no way that you should have to be waiting that long in order to get a work permit process. There's something that's just not right. There's something off. Okay. All right. Moving forward here. Okay. Next question. This one is Rami. My father is planning to give me a gift deed in check to support my immigration proof of funds. Should the date on the check be before or after the date of the gift deed? Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because you're going to identify in the well, in all honesty, the gift deeds often will precede, but it doesn't really matter as long as you're identifying the date that the transfer took place in the existing deed, or that you are in the process of giving that deed. It doesn't really matter as long as you're providing. I always include a copy of the statement from your father showing the funds going out and the funds going into your account. The gift deed just confirms that transfer, which happened either before or after, that it was truly a gift. It was an irrevocable gift. It wasn't a loan, and there was no expectation that it will be that you will have to pay it back. All right. And for those of you who also, I'll show you one other thing here as you're watching. Some of you are unaware that I have also another website called the Canadian Immigration Institute. And it's right here, guys, where I have all of my individual guides. Now, I should probably call them courses. They're not guides because they're a full-blown course. And here's where you can go to get access to my step-by-step course to doing it yourself. And if I go in here and log in and just pull it up, many of you have seen this already, but this contains everything, especially those of you now who are stuck at home. This is a great thing that you can purchase to understand the whole process of Express Entry. I have 5 modules plus a whole member resource section. The modules work through everything from learning the basics. They're each video courses, video guides that are quite lengthy. So you look, even this one here, the first one, it's 18 minutes long. Lesson 2, what is Express Entry? Same situation, that's 7 minutes. They're designed to be short little snippets. This one is 18 minutes long. But these are comprehensive videos that are all designed to walk you through the process, knowing whether or not you actually qualify, which is all about the basics. Preparing to submit your module 2 is all about preparing to submit your profile. You can see everything from what to do before you even start. And I won't go into all of the details, but I do want to highlight that this course is something that I'm really proud of, and I really don't do enough to promote it and plug it. But it's all about completing your profile. What happens after you get your ITA, Module 4 is all about the forms. And then Module 5 is one of my favorite. And this is where people have most of the problems. Take Lesson 40, for instance, which this lesson is 21 minutes long. But all along the right side here, you can see I've got all of these downloads of everything. And what's in there? Well, if I click on this, let's see if I can even pull it up here. Desktop will save it. And then I'm going to try to open this and I'll show you. This is a Word document that is a sample gift deed. So you can use this to assist you in preparing your own gift deed. And it's not just that. There are a ton of other documents in here: sample job offers, employment reference letters, and even knowing what documents look like, which is also a huge issue. Some people these are trying to dupe them and try to say, hey, I've got your work permit, you're all good to go to Canada. Well, the reality is, this is what a real work permit looks like. This is a real work permit, and if your work permit doesn't look like this, it's not a work permit. And I haven't even started getting into the whole issue of how you arrive at getting those work permits. And if someone's just handing you one, it's going to be fake anyways, because you obtain that at the port of entry when you're flying into Canada. So all of these documents here, you can see education, birth certificate examples, employment reference letters, sibling, proof of sibling, police certificates, e-medicals, ECAs for every educational credential assessment. So all of those guys are all there. And actually, I'll show you one last thing, and then I won't waste any more time with this. But you need to understand, in these modules and these lessons, not everybody needs to know every single thing there is to know about certain aspects of the process. Some can pick and choose. And when you look at the EAPR forms, I have sections that are specifically designed for the principal applicant and for those who have spouses. And every section is lined up with each section of the Express Entry process. But that isn't the part I'm most proud of. Right here, the member resource section, for all those who say, oh, Mark, this is just general information. I watched your videos and there was nothing new added. Are you serious? Look at this. General information, work experience. All these videos are all designed to answer specific aspects of it. This one, for instance, was a massive one. How do I prove work experience if I'm self-employed? This one here that I have posted in a private link covers all aspects of self-employed and what you need to do and how you need to prove it. Language, Express Entry eligibility, job offers, proof of funds, police certificates, dependent family, non-accompanying spouses, education, medicals. You can see it goes on and on. All of this is designed to help you make it a whole lot easier to figure out what you're looking for. So I'll leave it at that. And that is that is something I'm super proud of, and I encourage you guys to go check it out. And I guess one thing that I could probably do as well is just put in the link for those of you who are looking to connect. And I'll show you something else. I'll show you one other thing, just because you guys have taken the time to stay here and watch this video. So those who are interested, you go to the individual guides, which is courses, click learn more, and then I'll put the link here, and that's the one I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it into the comment section. Then when you click on purchase guide, you have two options. You can purchase a monthly for $97 US, or you can choose lifetime access for this version at $497. Well, when you click purchase guide, if you type in right here, if you type in EEDIY 50, that's EEDIY 50, and click apply, you'll get half off for $248.50 US. Okay? All right, that's for all of you faithful people who are watching live right now. Okay, so let's go back now, and I'm going to just go to the screen, and we're going to continue on with questions. Whew, this is heating up here in my office, I'll tell you that much. Okay, so the next question is, Rami says, my father, okay, we've got the gift deed. Muhammad said, I've been working in Dubai for the last 7 years. Okay, I can't help you with this, buddy. It looks like you're asking for whether or not you can get a job as a chef or a cook. Yeah, that's would require you to book a consult for us to go through all of that, Muhammad. Okay, Safe says, what is the procedure? Well, if it's express entry, you can just follow all of that information that I just told you, Safe. And Muhammad, I can't help with jobs. I don't offer any assistance with finding jobs in Canada. That's the recruiter's realm. I'm the immigration lawyer. Okay. Okay. Iftikhar said, I'm from Pakistan. I have been admitted at the university, I think it's UOIT for doctoral program starting from May. I've applied for my study permit and done with the medicals and biometrics. Now what? What will be the status of the visa application? Are they going to close the visa process? So right now, there's no indication that they're going to close the visa process. You know, it may be that it takes longer to process your application, and it may be that your application is approved, you know, after some time. If you're trying to start May 2020, I think there's going to be some challenges with that. If that is in Canada, I couldn't tell where the university UOIT, I'm not sure what that is. If it's University of Toronto, U of T, then you know, we just don't know. So you'll have to just watch and pay attention. Sesh says, no touch on nose, Mark. Well, unfortunately, my friend, while I'm here in my office, when I have an itchy nose, I'm going to touch it, and then I'm going to wash my hands and not associate with anyone else. That's awesome. Okay, Ronell says, thank you very much, Mark. Stay safe. That reminds me of this video that's been going viral of this lady. I can't remember who she is. I feel really bad for her. We all have these things that we do, right? And we don't even think about it, especially touching our face. And she was reading, you know, this advice, and she was saying, okay, in her book at this press conference, and she was saying, okay, make sure that you know, be smart, be responsible, don't touch your face, and, you know, prevent the transmission of the disease. And then she goes up, licks her finger, and then flips the page. And so anyways, none of us are perfect. The key is to do the very best that we can. Okay, Renell says, thank you very much, Mark. Stay safe. Gaith says, it's always nice to tune into your live informative episodes. I highly recommend him. He truly makes my EE process way easier with his professional services. Stay safe, Mark. Thanks, Gaith. I really appreciate that. You know, there's a lot of people, even though I've helped them and they're well on their express entry journeys, some of them have actually finalized and processed. They're still coming back and watching. And I really, really appreciate you guys. You know, you've been the thing that has helped me to be able to provide for my own family. And in turn, I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had to help you in your journey as well. That's what makes all of this so, so rewarding for me. Okay, Fleur says, hello, Mark, always watching your live. Thanks, Fleur, I appreciate that. Siddharth says, Mark, what do you think? Draw score will be going down? You know what? I don't think so. I think it's going to stay kind of level. You know, in an ideal world, it'd be right around 270. Well, who am I kidding? Not an ideal world. In an ideal world, it would be 413 like it used to be a couple of years back. That was the lowest level it ever hit. So Siddharth says, what do you think the score will be going down? And so the response that I have is probably around 270 is my guess. Arnav says, hi, mate. I'm having an open work permit, but currently in India. My return is scheduled on the 27th this month. Can I still travel after the ban? Arnav, I'm seriously on the side of no, you're not going to be able to get back in. Not right now. It may be that, you know, the travel is lifted and that these restrictions and the ban is not closed for our borders. But I think you, my friend, are seriously in a position where you may not be able to get in right away. Afsar says, hi, Mark, you are not looking lively today as you usually do. Well, I think, my friend, it's mostly because, because of stress, right? I've got so many people that have reached out and are seeking guidance and direction. I've been up late trying to work through files and things like that. And even the stress of having to bring my daughter back for school, my children that are now home, working out their online courses and things like they're doing for school, and just making sure that we have enough resources ourselves to be able to make it through with our own expenses and our own family. So all of that, I think everybody is probably feeling the stress, and it's showing on their faces, right? But thanks for pointing it out. That's the beauty of doing live videos, right? And I'm not one of those guys who fancies himself up before he gets on here. This is me. This is me. Okay. And I actually, do you know what, guys? I won't tell you either that, well, maybe I should. Let's see. Well, most of the people that who are doing their professional YouTubers, now that I'm at home, I'll be honest, because I had consults so early in the morning and I was so tired, I'm still wearing my pajamas aside from my shirt. Okay, probably didn't need to say that, but whatever. That's life, right? That's one of the perks of being able to work out of your own home. Okay. So Vishnu says, my wife has a permanent resident confirmation and landing on Canada March 25th. Is there any issues? Yes, Vishnu, there could very well be possibility that they don't allow her to board, but we've heard a lot of things about families, and it's just going to be really challenging to see how this all plays out. I sure hope she is. Okay, Siddharth says, marketing executive. Siddharth, you go take a look. Watch the video after this recording is over, and you'll be able to see where I told people to go to take a look to see what the job market is for their positions. Okay, Fleur says, hello, Mark. How can I apply here in Canada being a teacher or a support teacher? What are the requirements and steps to apply? Fleur, every school division has their own requirements. Obviously, right now, the last thing any school division is looking at doing is hiring new teachers or new support teachers. When it comes to each province, they have their own rules. You need to be able to go through the teaching association in that province, get your credentials recognized to be able to then apply to different school divisions as a teacher. But right now, with all the schools being closed for the most part across the country, no school division is looking to hire people. And one of my good friends is actually the superintendent of a school division here out in one of the rural communities outside of Lethbridge. And he's got a real tough job right now trying to coordinate what he's going to do with the schools, with the teachers, the programs, the courses. It's uncharted waters, which I say repeatedly. And once again, you can see right here, we've got those beautiful waters, which are definitely not representative of the waters we're sailing in right now. They're really choppy waters right now. Okay. Harry says, hey, Mark, recently got a confirmation of permanent residence. Wanted to know if COPR can land after March 18th. My flight was booked for the March 29th. Yeah, Harry, you guys are all kind of in that same boat. I'm so excited for you. You've been such faithful followers, and you alumni of the Canadian Immigration Institute who have been so diligent in following and supporting one another in the Express Entry Law Facebook group. You guys, I feel for you. The reality is, as you're going through all of these different links and everything that I've tried to show, we don't know where things are at. So it may be that people have valid confirmations of permanent residence are going to be delayed. But if you are delayed, they're not going to punish you. If you have a time period where you have to come and you are prevented from coming because the borders are closed to you, they will allow those confirmations of permanent residence to be extended. They're not just going to outright cancel them. I cannot see that happening. Okay. Okay, yeah, and you can see here on the above official link, you can see, Harry, what's transpired. So understand all of that is constantly being updated. Every day there's something new. So you just need to keep checking back. Nellie says, hey, Mark, I'm so happy you are safe and sound. Thank you. I got my confirmation of permanent residence in February for the self-employed program. That's awesome, Nellie. I was planning on going in May. Obviously, I won't be able to do that according to my initial plan. Technically, I have a lot of time to replan the traveling since my COPR expires in January 21. That's great, Nellie, and I really appreciate your positive attitude. You know, it's not easy. And for the government, for immigration, for anyone all over the world, it is just really tough times. My question is, she says, should I still send them a message asking for any specific instructions, or should I not worry right now since there's still plenty of time for my COPR? Thank you so much. You know what, Nellie? That is the most responsible, civically just responsible response anybody could give. And that question just tells me a lot about you and your willingness to be patient. And that's just, it's so awesome. I just love people like you. Yeah, my answer would be don't bother them. Don't harass them. If you have the ability to wait a little bit, then don't, because you know their lines, their phone lines, everything is just being inundated with people who are desperate to come. Let's say you're a foreign worker in Canada. You've got a mortgage, you have your house, and you were away on Easter break for vacation. And now you're stuck, and there's the potential you can't get back into Canada with your family and your spouse and your children. Well, understand that you not making that call, Nellie, really, really opens the line for someone else who's really in a desperate situation. So very cool. I can't wait for you to be a permanent resident of Canada and one day a citizen. Okay, Hassan says, thanks, you're welcome. Jessica says, hi, Mark, please help me with this. What does eligibility recommended pass mean? I called IRCC and asked about eligibility. That was the response I got. Does it mean eligibility has been met? Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. Dr. Muhammad says, I want to apply for Alberta PNP and may obtain 302 comprehensive points. I would like to know when I have to pay fee for Canadian immigration. Dr. Muhammad, the likelihood of getting a nomination for the province of Alberta really, really depends on the NOC code, what they're looking for. And even though the CRS score says 302, what they're really looking at is occupations that are in demand. And so it may be that you have a profile in the express entry pool and you get a nomination. But remember, if you are in Canada right now, you're talking about comprehensive points, which means that you're probably not, and you're looking at express entry. In your situation, you have to be eligible to submit an application into the pool, and then it's a completely passive process. The nomination, the notification of interest that comes from the province of Alberta is really based on your job and whether or not the province wants someone with that experience to nominate. So in your situation with 302, it's not a matter even about paying for anything. I wouldn't even worry about that. The question is whether or not you're going to get that nomination in the first place. Okay, Binish says, what about the people who have applied for a student visa? I think there's going to be delays, and you may or may not be able to actually make your program of study this year. It's entirely possible. Hala says, my son is a Canadian and I have a confirmation of permanent residence. Can I still do the landing? Hala, same situation. We're just not sure. If I get any information, I will continue to post it right here on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page, okay? And so the latest information, I will try to keep it updated for you. I haven't heard yet. We don't know the impact of everything, all right? Okay, Hassan says, will we still have the draw after this COVID-19 crisis? We have to assume they have not, as already been alluded to by one of the previous listeners to the episode. We don't have exact information. There's been no indication that it's anything other than business as usual, except there's far fewer officers that are going to be able to process applications, and there's going to be delays. Okay, optimistic man. Nothing like someone making their name very, very positive. Good for you. Hi, sir. After I've done the medical exam, how much time I need to wait until PPR? My application is paper application. I can't tell you. When it comes to getting the medical instructions for a paper, usually that's nearing closer to the end. But with everything that's happening now, there's no way of knowing. Okay. All right. Okay. Azamu also says, will the draw take place? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Okay. Chinmoy says, wonderful. Thank you, Chinmoy. Okay. Nipa says, hello, I'm from Bangladesh. I applied for a master's at Canada in September. I'm worried about, will I face any problems to get the student visa? Nipa, it's possible. We just don't know. If you've got your application and you've already, it doesn't look like you've actually applied for your student visa yet. We'll see what happens. Uncharted waters, like I said. I'll keep everybody updated as well as I can. Okay, let's see. We'll scroll through here. Nicole says, thank you so much for answering my question. Getting in contact with the airline have proved unsuccessful as they were not taking calls. I understand. It may be, Nicole, that you actually just have to go to the airport and see. Many people are unable to get through. So in your case, if you've got a boarding pass, then it may be that you just prepare to leave. Now, like my client who went to do his landing today in Calgary, the office was closed. And so anyone that is in Canada, they are now doing phone landings. So they're doing landings by phone. And so we'll watch for those notifications. And when they come out, individuals who were traditionally going to do in person, now they're going to reach out to those individuals by phone to complete the landing process by phone. Okay. Gakulnath says, I have submitted my profile post ITA. Today I received an email saying Service Canada is closed and biometrics cannot be completed with the 30 days. What to do? Okay, and I think you've seen this, Gokulnath. If we go to I'm going to share my screen with you again. And then if you go to the government's website here, just trying to see, I think it's here. This is the Facebook page for the government. And you scroll down. Let's see here if we can find, there was a link here where it specifically talked about biometrics. At least I'm pretty sure it was here. That's students. Boy, now I'm trying to find the link. Well, I've showed it 100 times. They have extended all the links, all of the timelines to 90 days. For biometrics, for medicals, they've extended all of those out to 90 days. So you're fine, my friend. Ahmed, hello. I wonder if the processing time of PR applications for people applying inside of Canada would encounter delays. Yes, we know that for sure. In Canada, in our meeting, our conference call that we had with the head immigration officials yesterday, they told our table officers with the Canadian Bar Association that they are operating with a reduced staff in the Inland Processing Center, and obviously that means processing times are going to climb. Okay, Pawan says, will there be any impact on PR application processing for applicants who applied from within Canada? Yes, processing will be delayed. Okay. Trying to find ones. People are multiple posting here. Okay, Jaudet says, I work in a few airlines for many years. The best for you is to call the airline and make sure with them, as they have a hotline to call boarders. It might be hard to make sure much earlier than the flight's time, but for sure a few hours before the flight, they should be able to tell, especially at the airport, not the call center. Good luck. Yeah, you're right, Jaudet. Sometimes you just have to travel there and just see if you can be boarded. All right. And I see Lena here is sharing with someone that she knows. Awesome. Thanks, Lena. Okay, Kenza says, for the COPR holders, will there be any extensions of the visa expiry? Thank you. Kenza, I don't have any specific instructions on that, but I personally have to assume that with everything that's going on, that they are going to grant extensions to people, especially if they outright bar confirmation of permanent resident holders from getting on the plane to come and land in Canada. Okay, Fidel says, hi Mark, let's say you applied for a visitor visa before, but you filled the form with incorrect information, especially in the travel and employment history. Is that going to affect your application? Can it be considered as misrepresentation? Fidel, that's a good question. And yes, absolutely it can be considered misrep. And you can receive a 5-year bar from coming to Canada. So anytime you've misrepresented in an application, you've indicated incorrect information, well, you have an opportunity to explain what happened in this new application. You most definitely do not want to perpetuate that lie. You want to make sure that you correct it and you modify it so that what you're actually putting in this current application is 100% true and correct. So I recommend, as with everybody, if you have questions, I'm more than happy to help you. You can just click on the link, go to holthylaw.com and click on Start Here and book a consult, and I can help you. Okay, Jode says, thanks for answering. You're very welcome. Rami says, we've got this one. Okay, we've answered that one. Okay, Cece says, hello, Mark. Can you apply for a study permit while your PR, PNP, EE application is processing? Will it affect my application? Cece, if you're outside of Canada and you're applying for a study permit to come with a permanent resident application in the queue, there's a very good chance that they're going to refuse it for lack of temporary intent. We can, once again, Cece, you can book a consult. We can talk about this. But generally speaking, an important part of the study permit process is showing that you have an intention to only reside in Canada temporarily and then that you'll go home. Now, we know, practically speaking, the vast majority of international students want to stay and become permanent residents of Canada. But when it comes to applying overseas through a visa office or the online process, which it is now, the reality is you're going to be in a situation where if you already have a permanent resident application in the queue, they're going to really wonder, really coming to study temporarily? And it's going to be hard for you to get that approved. Okay, Flavia says, Mark, do you think there will be an extension on work visas? No one is hiring now. I guess the question comes down, if you're looking at an extension of a post-grad work permit, no, there are no extensions to that. And if no one is hiring, that is just unfortunately the situation. It's very, very sad. It's that way all over the world. And with, for instance, I've got a number of brother-in-laws that are dentists in town. And because of the rules and because of the healthcare scares and everything, people are having to, many dental offices are having to lay off their staff and to close their offices. And when that happens and Canadians are losing jobs, I can tell you that those Canadians are given much more of a priority than international workers. But I can totally feel for you. It's a really, really tough situation. Okay, Crudy says, what is the impact of a travel ban on one who is having COPR and is in the US and is Indian citizen? Can I travel by land border? Yeah, Crudy, you can. You can get on, if you have a choice and you can drive to Canada right now, that's what I would do. I would get into Canada as soon as you possibly can. Jesse says, I had a plan to move back to Quebec. I'm a Canadian citizen in Florida. I have 3 American kids, but my other half was brought here as a child from Mexico. Not documented. I understand that situation. Will he be denied at a port of entry by land or should he go back to Mexico? Jesse, he's not going to be allowed in. If you have not applied to sponsor him as a permanent resident and he doesn't have a permanent resident visa, if you were to go up to Canada, yes, your kids would be admitted, but your husband would not because he's not a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. So in these situations, it's really, really tough. He would have to go back to Mexico and you'd have to sponsor him from there. You do have the ability, depending upon the circumstances and depending upon his status in the U.S., to sponsor him to go back to Canada while you're in the U.S. But I don't know your situation. There's a lot of different factors here, Jesse, that I would need to talk to you about. So once again, I recommend that you book a consult for more specific details. But coming to Canada without a permanent resident or a travel visa isn't going to happen. Well, let's see here. Boy, here I'm talking, Jesse. I think I'm kind of wore out. You've got so much time. I've been going for almost 2 hours here now. And your question relates to a Mexican citizen. And so Mexican citizens do not need a visa to come to Canada. When you are traveling up to Canada, you're still going to face the same question about, an officer could ask those same questions about intention. It's possible, Jesse. I recommend you book a consultation. Actually, now that I look at it, it may be possible for you to come to Canada, but being out of status in the US is an issue because often officers will say, we're not going to admit you because you don't have the means to go back to the US. You'd have to then fly back to Mexico. And with everything that's happening right now, with all the border closes and everything like that, it's really up in the air whether or not an officer at the border would allow him in. Remember, until noon tomorrow, any temporary resident seeking entry is subject to that bar. Okay, Lou says, yep, my flight is on March 18th, 9 p.m. Manila time, 6 a.m. Vancouver time. It's possible. If they let you board the plane and the flight's not canceled, yeah, Lou, I would push through. There's nothing stopping you, especially they're going to ask about your symptoms. And as long as you're not manifesting those symptoms, it just comes down to that airline, whether or not they're going to board you. Okay. Jod says, I left my company in September 2019 after spending 12 years with the same company. Since then, I'm not working. If I got a nomination from the SIMP, will my unemployment impact my PR process? No, they don't care. As long as your work experience is in the range that they're looking for. There's this big misconception that somehow they don't like you if you're unemployed. Not the case. Ahmed says, would the PR applications within Canada encounter possible delays? Yes. Lou, Mark, could you show us again the link where it said we should board the plane before March 18th noon Canada time? Lou, this came from the government's announcement yesterday. So if you go to, let me see if I can find it here. Just one second here. I'm just going to see if I can find. Okay. I'm just trying to find the official site, and this is one of the challenges. Okay, so this is the best that I can do right now because I can't find the other stuff. So Lou, I'm just posting the link. I'm going to share my screen right here. CBC is probably one of the more reputable, well, it is. It's our national news. And so if you can't trust what's on here, that's a huge issue. But usually the government of Canada is exactly where we are going to be going for our information. But right now, when the government announces these changes, this is one of the sources that you can see. Okay, so you can see here where it indicates that they're planning on barring individuals coming to Canada as of March the 18th. In terms of the actual time when those it's going to kick in. Let's see here. I'm just looking. I'm going to have to look a little bit more to see where that might be, that actual time. So I can't answer that one, but this was from yesterday at 9:36 a.m. and it was actually last updated March the 16th. So I wish I could give you something more direct, Lou, but that's the best that I can do in the circumstances. Okay, I'm going to answer just a few more and then we're going to end this, okay? Nellie says, yes, I'm a graphic designer freelancer with many years of experience, and my application went through in 2 months. Fantastic, Nellie. That's amazing. Jodette, thank you so much. One day I will come to Alberta and I will have the honor to meet you and thank you in person. Remember me. I will, Jodette. Thanks so much. Arbaz is also asking, people with a valid COPR, will they be allowed to enter Canada? We're not sure. And then we've got a bunch of other questions. I think I'm going to end there, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. This was a really long one, and it's going to take forever to upload it to the YouTube channel. But I want to thank everybody who participated. I want to wish everybody out there who is struggling in whatever country they're in, just know that, you know, we're thinking about you, and I want you guys to stay safe, to stay healthy. Do all those things that they tell us to do, right? Washing our hands, avoiding close contact with people, you know, self-isolating where possible. And those of you who are suffering because you can't work, you know, my heart goes out to you, and I just wish you guys all the very, very, very best. And I can tell you my prayers are going to be all that this will pass as quickly as possible with the least amount of harm to people. And for those who have lost loved ones, for those who have loved ones that are sick and really afflicted by this terrible virus, my heart goes out to you. And I just also pray for the companies, the pharmaceutical companies who are trying to develop these vaccines. Pray that they will be they'll be successful really fast. All right, guys, this is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, broadcasting from his home. This special, well, it's really, I called it an Express Entry Live Q&A, but it's an immigration one, answering all questions. And I know that there is tons of questions that people have. Remember, I'll try to continue to post right here on the Canadian Immigration Institute page links to the sources of the information that are reputable, and do all I can to share what I learn with my involvement through the National Executive of the Canadian Bar Association's immigration section. Thanks, guys. I wish you all the best, and just stay safe, stay healthy. Take care. Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, wishing you guys all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Express Entry. Take care.